Okay, in this video, we're gonna use reference angles to evaluate tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent of angles in different quadrants. Now, I want to start by reminding you the basic trig definitions, trig function definitions. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to discuss whether each function is positive or negative in certain quadrant. So in the first quadrant, your both x and yx values are positive. So all of your 6 trig functions are positive. Now in the second quadrant, your x is negative and the y is positive. So sine is going to be positive, cosine is going to be negative, tangent is negative, cotangent is negative, secant is negative, but cosecant is positive. So here we have in the second quadrant only sine is positive and cosecant is positive. In the third quadrant, both x and y coordinates are negative. So again, negative, negative. Now, when you have a ratio of negative divided by negative, that becomes a positive. So tangent is positive. Now, cotangent is also negative divided by negative, which is positive. But the rest are all negative values. So in this quadrant, tangent and cotangent are positive, all have positive values, but the rest of the functions, trig functions, are negative. And finally, in quadrant 4, we have positive x and negative y. So we have negative, positive, negative, negative, positive, negative. So only cosine and secant are positive in this angle. Okay, so there is an acronym that helps us to remember, and the acronym goes like this. It's a SMART trig class. Okay, so A stands, each word stands for a quadrant. So A stands for the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. And we're going to look at the first letters. So A stands for all. S stands for sine and its reciprocal, cosecant. Cosecant is closely tied to sine because it's actually the definition of cosecant is 1 divided by sine, so they go in pairs. So cosecant is a reciprocal of sine. Now for the third angle, we have T, which stands for tangent. And cotangent, again, it's a reciprocal of tangent. And then the C stands for cosine, and secant is a reciprocal of cosine. So that's one way to remember which quadrant, which trig functions are positive in each quadrant. Now, how does that help us to find values? Okay. Says use reference angle to find all 6 trigonometric functions of negative 5 pi over 6. So let's take a look. Here's our unit circle. Where's our negative pi over 6? Well, it's almost, so negative, we're going in the clockwise direction, this direction, and it's almost a pi. It's basically pi over 6. If we if we omit the negative sign for now, 5 pi over 6 is very close to 6 pi over 6, which is 5. So it's just pi over 6 shy of the full pi. But we're going in this direction, so it's going to be here. So our reference angle right here, this is our pi over 6. So our functions are going to be similar to pi over 6. So the angle is pi over 6, and what are the coordinates here? We have root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. Okay, so we can now use our reference angle, and my x value is negative, so it's negative root of 3 over 2 and a positive 1/2. So this will give me the sine of negative pi over 6 is 5 pi over 6, sorry, negative 5 pi over 6. Sine is the y value, so it's going to be 1/2, and the cosine is the x value, so it's negative root of 3 over 2. Now, I need to find the rest. So tangent negative 5 pi over 6 is basically sine divided by cosine. So 1/2 divided by negative square root of 3 over 2. So 1/2 times negative 2 over root of 3. So 2 cancel out. We are left with 1 and a negative 1. So we have negative 1 root of 3. And again, rationalizing, the denominator will give us negative root of 3 over 3. But we could use our table in order to find those, actually. Like if we memorize the values and we know that the tangent for this angle, for pi over 6, is root of 3 over 3. And then we know that in the third quadrant, tangent is negative. So we could just write out the answer without going through this process. So let's try that for the cotangent of negative 5 pi over 6. Well, cotangent, it's down here, it's square root of 3. Now, what is the sign of the cotangent in that quadrant? Well, it's the same as tangent sign. So we're going to have a negative root of 3. Now, what about a secant of negative 5 pi over 6? So I want you to try this problem by yourself. Just use reference angles to find all 6 trigonometric functions of negative 7 pi over 4. Pause the video here and try it. And I'm going to give you a little hint in a few seconds. But I want you to try it by yourself first. Okay, so here's my hint. 7 pi over 4 is 4 pi over 4 plus 3 pi over 4, which this simplifies to just pi. So 7 pi over 4 is pi plus 3 pi over 4. But of course, you have negative, so it's going in a opposite direction, in the clockwise direction. Okay, so go ahead and finish this problem. And I'm going to see you in the next video.